The new LinkedIn Hiring Pro can't undo your last hire. The lone wolf, who you thought was a good collaborator because you didn't have the right candidate insights. But once you hired them, it was all hoarding info, declining meetings, and howling at the full moon? But LinkedIn Hiring Pro can go deeper than just the resume to find you a perfect fit. By using insights from the LinkedIn network to give you a short list of best fit candidates. Hire right the first time with LinkedIn Hiring Pro. Post a free job today at linkedin.com/quality.
Experience a membership that backs what you're building with American Express Business Platinum. Unlock over $3,500 in business and travel value annually with statement credits on select purchases from brands like Dell, Hilton, and Adobe, and other benefits. American Express Business Platinum. There's nothing like it. Based on total potential value of statement credits on select purchases and other benefits, enrollments required, monthly and other limits and terms apply. Learn more at americanexpress.com/business-platinum.
Zootopia 2 has come home to Disney Plus.
Let's go!
Get ready for a new case.
We're gonna crack this case and prove we're the greatest partners of all time!
New friends.
You are... Gary the Snake. And your last name? The Snake.
Dream Team.
And new habitats.
Zootopia has a secret reptile population.
You can watch the record-breaking phenomenon at home.
You're clearly working at
Zootopia 2, now available on Disney Plus, rated PG.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Achtung Millwall. Broadcasting from beautiful South Bermondsey, it's the #1 Millwall podcast. Accept no substitute.
Good morning, dear listeners. Welcome to Achtung Millwall, part 2 of our coverage of the Friday night playoff match. 0-0 up there at the MKM Stadium. Very, very nervous occasion, to be honest with you, listeners. And we're now finally poised for what is certainly the biggest game in the last 25 years at the Den tomorrow night. 90 minutes from Wembley, 180 minutes potentially from the Gilded Palace of the Premier League. Joining me to chew over the cut of Friday night and all the ramifications, he's now show regular. It's Harry Evans. Hey, Harry, how are we, mate?
Not too bad, mate. I'd be glad when Monday's over and done with, but
one way or the other. Yeah. I know what you mean. It's funny, just before I start recording this conversation, listen, I was just watching the extended highlights of Friday night. It's really weird, Harry, because I came away with a certain image of the game. I thought it was a really strong performance from the Lions, but people reacted quite badly when I said that online. And then watching it again, I think I probably didn't give Hull enough credit for the chances they did have in the first half. They had the better of it, certainly in the first 45 and parts of the second. But I still remain convinced that was a pretty strong performance by the Lions. How did you see Friday, mate? How was it from your point of view?
yeah, I mean, I also thought we were the better team. Obviously, I think Hull allowed us to have the ball a little bit more, but I also think that might have worked in our favour. As I was saying, I actually thought it was going to be a 0-0 before the game, because I thought it was one of those as well. I think we've come out the stronger out of it, probably because we had more of the ball, because I think Hull had to work a lot harder because they're the home team, and with 3 days rest between the 2 games, or 2 basically. I think we're in much better shape than they will be, and also I think the best chances did come to us. Obviously, Negley in the post, towards the end, Aziz as well, and I think if you're Hull, you're looking at it and going, well, they've just been able to bring Bannon and Doughty on. The subs they made an impact for the first couple of minutes, and then it didn't really make any difference for them. So I'm actually really confident it's going to be a comfortable 2-0 win on Monday.
Bold talk, Mr. Evans, bold talk. I admire your style. I was listening to the audio of the Alex Neil's post-match press conference, and he made some interesting points, actually, one of which was, kind of developing what you just said there, that if you'd have offered at the start of the season, if you'd have offered any Millwall fan a second leg at home in front of a sold-out, largely 90+% Millwall fans, then it's going to be a huge atmosphere Monday night, and the game at 0-0. I think we probably would have bitten that person's arm off if that has been offered to us. So I do think we certainly set the table for Monday night on Friday. And the reason I say it was a great performance, listeners, is I felt that when in the league game, Harry, then Hull looked like quite an attacking force, and we didn't really see that much of them in that way. They had one early chance. The boy hit the side netting, I think I read the outside of the post in the first couple of minutes, and then a couple of kind of balls flashing across our goal, and there was a late chance in the second half. McBurney had a header wide from close. But they weren't really that much of a threat. I didn't feel like that in the stadium. It was a very nervous place to be, the Millwall end at Hull. Immense support. But I didn't feel we were that under threat from them overall. Having watched it again, I mean, they probably had more of the ball than I gave them credit for, but I remain convinced we contained them very, very well. That's quite a tribute to this side, I think, and
Yeah,
Alex Neil.
and also you think, we're going into the home leg seeing it right. It's a home game at the Den. It's packed out, and it's going to be, based on the way they sorted the tickets out, it's going to be proper Millwall fans there, as
Yeah,
opposed
yeah.
to, which nothing against the tourists being there, obviously,
No.
but yeah. But you hope the atmosphere, if we can sort of do a Huddersfield at home repeat, I don't think those Hull players will fancy it, and I think they're leaving that game kicking themselves because they didn't score, and they've just wasted the home leg basically. You don't.
Yeah.
I think for them it was probably essential to take a lead to us. And to be honest, I know this sounds a bit ridiculous, but as a Millwall fan, I'm not sure I wanted us to be in the lead anyway, because that's when, if you look
That's
at how
a very
nervous.
Millwall attitude, Harry.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at, I think a draw was probably the best possible outcome, especially a 0-0, because they couldn't break us down, and now
Yeah.
they realise they've got to try and do it at the Den. I mean, on the flip side, I've seen a few old fans saying, "Oh, we'll be able to counter you more," but I don't think so. I think Cooper and a few of them were a bit shaky in the first game. I think it doesn't help with some of these players. They sort of realise the only chance they've ever got of going to the Prem. People like Cooper, I think
Yeah.
Denor even said it in an
Yeah.
interview.
Yeah.
And that, funny enough, they were the two that didn't play very well. But it's especially in the first half. But they've got all this pressure on them, thinking, right, this is our chance, and obviously missing out on. I can understand the nervousness, because the one thing you don't want to do after missing out on second on the last day is lose to Hull, who've just got into the playoffs on the last day. It would seem a bit harsh,
Yeah.
but I genuinely think that was probably the best outcome. I think they couldn't break us down. They were the home team. They're probably now looking at it going, well, we've just wasted our home leg now. We couldn't even get a goal, and now we've got to go and play at the Den. And I don't think they quite understand what that atmosphere is going to be like on Monday.
It will be
And
a
I'm
bear
hoping
pit.
everyone turns up. Yeah,
It
and
will be a
we've just
bear
got to.
pit, Harry.
I was saying
Yeah.
we've just got to make it as poisonous and horrible as possible, basically, for them, and hopefully we'll get a Huddersfield repeat. So make
We're
sure
pretty
you're on
good
their
at
backs.
that. The away, I mean, it's like a quarter of the ground, I suppose. Section 2,300 went up there Friday night. Honestly, it was. I don't know what the decibel level was in there. If you could have measured it, it was very, very loud. That's all I'm going to say. And that's going to be multiplied by three quarters on Monday night. So yeah, I think everyone understands what's going to be required. Everyone's talking online about the famous Huddersfield home fixture back in 2010. It's going to be that's what's going to be required. I think it was an interesting point that Alex Neil made as well, Harry. That you just made it that a lot of our guys haven't played in this kind of situation before. I suppose Jake has played at Wembley in a playoff final, hasn't he? But the likes of Denor and I mean, fair play to Derek, young boy coming in. I thought he looked very comfortable in midfield.
He was unbelievable, I thought, Del Boy. I actually, it's. I think, like I said, it's almost lucky that he's not played a lot of this season based on the last couple of performances, because I think
Yeah,
he's going to have a full season with us next year.
yeah,
And him, Denor, and potentially Negley as options in the centre of the pitch, I think we're in a
yeah,
really strong position, because I think all three of them will still be Millwall players next year. So if we don't go up, obviously,
yeah,
but yeah,
absolutely.
he was superb, wasn't he?
He was immense. He's a revelation, really, coming in, and he is only a young kid. Listeners, got to remember that. But just going back to that point about not playing in this kind of to this level in this kind of atmosphere, I'd even include Tristan Kramer. I thought wasn't. I mean, we had a lot of the ball across the back line, and I'm never really comfortable with Jake knocking it around like he's modern day Franz Beckenbauer, Harry. But that's what he was required to do. And Tristan, I thought same point you've just made. He's come from lower level French football and then to Exeter and now to us. it's a different level. This is the big time, and I think maybe nerves got to him. He had a wild shot, and it's gone a bit viral online of Alex Neil pulling faces at him when he took this. And I just think that's not
Saw that.
normally Tristan's style. I think it was just the occasion. Maybe having done it once now, we'll be a little bit more with it on Monday, because I do think nerves played a big part in a lot of performances on Friday night. Although I thought we played well overall. But the other thing to say, what we've got to be aware of, another point he made, was that Hull do look comfortable soaking up pressure. So we want to get that early goal if we can.
Yeah. I think you're just on your point on Kramer. I also think he's in a bit of a dodgy patch anyway, because he's putting in a few hospital passes, shall we say, at the moment,
Yes,
and
he is.
He's been doing it quite regularly last few games, so he does need to sort that. Cooper, I think second half he was much better. But again, you could just tell they're obviously really nervous. But I do think not the worst thing to go to Hull, and they've played in front of 30,000 there now. I appreciate it's not going to be quite the same as the home game,
No.
but it's still a good sort of prerequisite for the next couple of games that we got. We kept a clean sheet, kept it solid, and I think that's probably the best thing we could have done, really. And as I said, they know now we're at home, we're all behind them. And to be honest, I think the general outlook will be it'll be frustrating if we did lose, which I'll be honest, I can't see us losing to Hull. I really hope it doesn't go to penalties, but I
I hope
genuinely
not.
think
Yeah.
I think we'll get the job done in 90 minutes, and I think we'll do it relatively comfortably. I do think we're a better side than Hull, and also, as I said, I thought in terms of the actual control of the game, like you said, I thought we controlled it pretty comfortably. There was never really a point other than that first chance where he turned Leonard inside out, their winger, and then put it into the side netting. When I saw that, I was like, oh no, here we go.
Here we go.
But
Yeah.
I think that early warning sort of woke them up a little bit. But yeah, they just could just do without defence not doing the hospital passes they were doing on Friday, and I think we'll be okay. And as I said, Bannon really made a huge difference as well when he came on. I think he's gotten a lot of unfair sticks since he's joined us, because every time he's played, he's looked really decent. Other than shock horror, the Sheffield Wednesday game where he was, I do think maybe he was doing that on purpose, but I reckon,
loyalties, isn't he?
I reckon he said to Alex Neil, "Don't put me on," and Alex Neil was just gone to him, "Nah, I'm putting you on, mate." Like there's a bit of a, he's just bodied him basically.
Scottish machismo there,
Yeah. I was about to swear then, and I couldn't think of an alternative word, but yeah. So I think we're in a really good position. I think that there's obviously nerves there, which I think we'll probably see in the first few minutes, but we do tend to eventually settle into those games. I think we do need to watch out for that though, because if we get to the final, and I mean Middlesbrough played really well against Southampton on Saturday. And then Southampton second half, they really came back into it. Both of those teams, you can't make a mistake against those two, because I would say on the balance, I'd say they are the two best teams. Now Borough have got players back fit, which they didn't have during that dodgy run when we played them. So really tough game. So you can't afford to be making mistakes like that. So I think, I think Monday, I'm pretty confident we'll get through. What happens after that, I'm not sure.
we go where we go. I mean, I thought it was a pretty strong overall performance. I'm not going to knock any players on from Friday night. I do want to pick out two that I just wanted to mention. I mean, one is Ryan Leonard. Despite that early thrust down the left side, to come into this level now. I mean, what a player he's been for us. He's very much at the latter stages of his career now, but and he's also fitting in where we've had injuries to Caleb Taylor, because otherwise Tristan Cram will be playing in his position. But I just think he's done so well for us. He's been Mr. Dependable for so long for us. We almost take him a bit for granted, Harry, don't we? Ryan Leonard.
Yeah, I think he's one of those with his injuries throughout his career. That's been the one frustration with him. But whenever he plays, he is Mr. Dependable, like I said. And the fact he's moved to right back, I think he's really good asset to have in the dressing room as well. He's obviously one of the experienced heads there, and you get the impression he's a bit of a personality in the dressing room as well. And as I said, I think the first few minutes you're always thinking, "Oh no, here we go," but every time you prove you wrong, and he was absolutely solid. I mean, as I said, I don't think Hull really had much of a sniff. There was no point where, I mean, I don't know whether I watched a different game, but obviously I saw people saying we played terribly, and I thought, look,
I saw
in terms of an advert for Championship football, that weren't it.
No.
But I mean, it was a pretty horrendous game of football in general. But ultimately, the whole team, it's up to them to take the game to us. We're under no obligation to go and try and win it. And then we had a really harsh disallowed goal, which I did think the referee probably got right. And one thing I will say is the last couple of games Gavin Wall's had for us, he's actually been superb. So because he did the Charlton game and he was brilliant for that. Obviously, gave us one of the few. I think we've had 2 penalties all season, and he's given us one of them. People need to remember.
Yeah.
So I think I'm going to stop giving that man stick because the last couple of games have been big ones, and he's performed really well for us.
I thought he did all right for us on
Yeah,
Friday.
and I thought the disallowed goal, it was harsh. It basically depends which angle you looked at it, but on both highlights, it was like, well, if it was the other way around, we'd probably want to foul for that. So it is a bit annoying, but as I said, and to be fair, I think we would have even been good value for the win. To be honest, I thought it was just a strong away performance, and
I did.
as I said, it's ups. And Alex Neil also, the whole fans obviously saying they let us have the ball. I also think Alex Neil's probably told us to have the ball because whole players had to work a lot harder than what ours did, as I said. And I think that will show on Monday especially when they walk out to that atmosphere 20, 30 minutes into the game, they start getting leggy. I think that'll put us in a really good position. I think I do think his first goal wins on Monday. I think whoever gets the first goal, win it. So we just got to make sure we don't bloody concede. But as I said, Patterson in goal as well. He's probably since prime David Ford, he's the most confident I've had in goal.
Solid, Harry, didn't he? Very, very solid goalkeeper. Hopefully, we're not setting him up for a mare on Monday, but he doesn't seem to make many mistakes, and that's all you can do in this life. I think he looks a very solid keeper now.
Yeah, Premier League goalkeeper. Like I said, if we go up, you'd imagine we'd sign him. I'll be very surprised if we didn't. And as I said, I'd be very surprised if he's not playing Premier League football next year, either with Coventry or with us. Obviously, there's rumours he might go to Cov next year if we don't go up. I mean, with him in goal, really confident, never worried. I think with previous goalkeepers, even Bart loved him, but every once in a while we'd spill one as well. Coming out, he was never great
Max
coming
Crocombe,
to corners.
who I liked, but I must say Patterson I can see now why the choice has been made to favour Patterson over Max Crocombe, because he just looks so much. There's a level that he's on that Max is dependable, but not quite there. So I get it. I understand that sign. The other player I wanted to mention before we go is Josh Coburn up front, Harry, who I thought did immense amounts of work coming straight back from an injury. Difficult lone striker role, but he really kept the central defenders of Hull occupied. And I've got to take my hat off to the boy. He's one hell of a player.
Yeah, well, as I said, I was definitely one that I do give him stick when he misses from 2 yards out. I don't like it at all, because what you don't want to see is him do that in the playoff final when we need a goal.
No,
but
that's true.
That performance, funny enough, it reminded me of one literally a couple of days ago, the Arsenal striker against Atletico. I don't know if anyone listening watched that.
Gyökeres, whatever his name is.
Gyökeres, but it was sort of exactly the same ilk of that performance. Just a proper centre forward, did everything a centre forward should be doing but score. Turned over the ball really well, held it up really well. He was genuinely absolutely superb, and I think next season, as I said, if we don't go up, it'll be really key for us. And even if we do go up, I think he'll be key for us as well, to be honest. He's obviously still really young, but his physicality, they couldn't really deal with it. And every time it went up to him, you were confident it was going to stick, which we do desperately miss when he's not in the team. He's so important to us. But someone just needs to have a word with him and get him to do some practicing 4 yards out. It's fine outside the box, but 4 yards out, he don't seem to want to put it away because he can't miss any of those in the next couple of games.
No, he can't. No.
But yeah, and then also I think if you're Hull, like from my perspective, I thought the way our subs affected the game, it was brilliant. And I think if you look at theirs, I don't think they had a huge effect. And they're probably looking at that thinking, these lot can bring on bloody Alfie Doughty and Barry Bannon off the bench, Ivanovic off the bench. I think we're in such a good position with the players we've got back fit. I think it's I do genuinely think we're clear favourites now. I think they've wasted the home tie and they'll know that as well. And don't worry, listeners, I think it'll be a comfortable 2-0 win, as I said. So don't worry about it.
Tune
You
into
don't even need to watch
Achtung
it.
Tune into Achtung for the top comment there. Really, really appreciate. Would you name an unchanged side Monday, presuming injuries and fitness allows, Harry, or would you bring in them?
Yeah,
I've
I
seen
would.
people calling for Bannon coming in, but I don't know that we would start Bannon particularly. What do you, how do you
Yeah,
see it?
I think you want Denor and Del Boy in the
So
middle just
Derek
to get a
hasn't
foothold
been.
in the game. Yeah, and I think the only thing I would say, I think Hull were pretty good at. I mean, there was a couple of times where Femi was able to cut in, but Hull were pretty good at restricting what we could get out wide.
Yeah,
But I don't think, and I think a lot of teams have cottoned on to our wing player now a little bit, so they're doubling up on each side. The only player I would consider dropping is Ballo. I've got to be honest. I
maybe for
did think
Doughty.
yeah, potentially for Doughty because I don't want to single him out, but I just thought he had a bit of a stinker on Friday. I think he'd be really good off the bench, but he's just not quite got that consistency yet. When he plays well, he looks brilliant,
Yeah,
but when he doesn't, he can look really poor. And it's just a lot of it's his decision making. There was a couple of times where he had a shot and he should have passed it. And I've got to be honest, I'm not confident that he's the best shooter of the ball anyway. So I think some of the decision making was a little bit poor. So I think it just needs to be mindful of that because of the poor performance. It won't be long before people start getting a bit frustrated with him in the ground, which I don't think we need. But I think other than Ballo and obviously anyone else that might need a rest, but I'd say I don't think anyone really wouldn't even say deserves to be dropped, but I do think it might be a good decision to get Doughty in because also gives us another creative player. And I don't think, if you're not going to start Bannon, it's good to have him in the team because he can still find a pass in behind the line. So I think, and then I'd expect obviously Bannon to make an appearance if we need him to towards the end, especially with his experience. I mean, he's had I think four or five playoff campaigns in his career or something
yeah,
like that. But it might even be more than that. So we have got a lot of experience in there, and he's one of them.
Well,
And
same with Doughty, Harry, as well. I mean, again, experience. It's invaluable in these situations. We'll see. We'll see. It's going to be a massive night tomorrow night, listeners. I'm going to be there. All I want is for it to be whatever outcome happens. I can handle anything, Harry, apart from a penalty shootout. I don't want a penalty shootout. That's all I ask of the football gods. Don't give us that. Take us if you must, but don't give us a penalty shootout. Don't do it that way.
Well, we've already lost one this year. You forget we lost at Palace, didn't we? Over that, almost forgot about that. That feels like so long ago though. Now, doesn't it? It's crazy. It's yeah, but yeah, no penalty shootouts. But as I said, I really think you've just got to think of the mindset of Hull. They would have been absolutely out on their feet after that because they were running for everything and we were making them run for everything because we had more of the ball.
Yeah.
And I just think if you can't score at home in the semi-final, that's not great. I think it will be a repeat of the Huddersfield in 2010, the Huddersfield game. So also, I think we had a couple of dodgy decisions go against us that day as well. So, I think it's all very similar.
Stars are aligning. Huge thank you for joining me on this Sunday morning, Harry Evans. Big thank you, H.
Cheers, mate.
Hello.
Morning, Nick. Just Adam Wicks here, just leaving my thoughts from the lovely Travel Lodge in Central Hull on Saturday morning after last night's 0-0 draw at Hull. I mean, I would have taken that result all day long before we played the game. I think, by and large, we were excellent. I thought we really controlled things. We sort of dictated a lot of the play. We had the ball. We kept it well. We moved it well. And I thought I mean, to my eyes anyway, I thought there was only really one team in it. I think they were only going to score if we cocked up, which we didn't, thankfully. So yeah, all good. I think Derek is for me. Derek's been a bit of a revelation. He covers so much ground, and his legs are they look like they're telescopic. You don't know like he's going to get the ball, and then all of a sudden he stretches out of nowhere and pinches it off someone. I thought Coburn did a great job up front, held the ball up really well when it went to him, and give us that platform that we need. And the rest of the team just went about their business in the way they normally do, very professionally, and good. I mean, I think Alex Neil got the subs right when he made them. Bannon coming on, just he really impacted the game when he came on in terms of just wanting the ball and just keeping it circulating and getting those attacks going. Doughty as well was good when he came on. So yeah, very pleased and looking forward to Monday night's game. As I said, if you'd given any of us a one-off game against anybody at the Den on a Monday night for a shot at the playoff final on an even footing, we'd all have taken that at the start of the season without a doubt. Anyway, come on, you Lions.
Hi Nick, Glenn here. So that was a decent away performance, I think. Nothing to be too concerned about. I think the team did well. The obvious talking point being a disallowed goal. I think the initial foul on Crammer should have been a penalty if his return foul was enough to disallow the goal. But of course that didn't happen. And I'll give Gavin Ward some credit. I think he actually managed the game pretty well and let quite a lot of the game flow. So yeah, just one of those things. I think we never get the rub of the green with the refs, do we? Anyway, moving on. I think obviously they doubled up on Aziz again, but Ballo and Sturge took great advantage of that, and they were for a long time in the game our main outlets, and they both played well. I was concerned when Sturge came off, but I've got to say I thought Doughty offered something completely different and actually looked ready for the game. Looked fit, looked strong, played almost like an extra midfielder at times, and it's nice to see that we've got that option on the bench. Certainly gives us another dimension in our play. I do think, having watched that game, the game on Monday, starting to think now that we're going to get a lot more of the ball than I might have originally thought. I'm not sure that Hull are going to possess the ball that much. They're going to try and counter us. And I do wonder if Bannon would start ahead of Mitchell in that case. And it's interesting that Mitchell didn't get any game time yesterday. So, yeah, Mazzucco was excellent. Denor, his usual excellent self. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if either Bannon or Mazzucco starts with Denor on Monday and Billy maybe comes on to help shore us up if we're trying to defend a lead. But all in all, I'm not disappointed. Would have taken a draw before the game kicked off. I thought the lads all did themselves proud, and yeah, big game on Monday. Just got to deliver now. We've got the players, we've got the ability, and the manager knows what he's doing. So come on, you Lions.
Hello Nick, it's Barnes here. I thought I'd give you my little take on tonight's game. I thought it was a very professional performance. I think, personally, before the game I would have expected Sacco or maybe Billy to come in for Bannon for maybe 60 minutes or so. But I think what Sacco gives you is, if a defender could be the right, Sturge. I thought Sturge was really pushed up a lot, and he does like to get forward, doesn't he? If he just had that sort of end product, I think he'd be, he's only young, so hopefully that will come. But, as soon as Sturge or Leonard push up, Sacco drops back, he's got the intelligence to drop into that midfield deep ball and, basically another defender. So maybe that's why, Bannon didn't play tonight. I thought Bannon was very unlucky not to play after his performance against Oxford. But, we're away from home, we're not going to see the ball. But as it turned out, we see a lot of the ball, which is unheard of. But no, I thought first half we started off very well, and obviously they had that chance where they hit the post. But yeah, I thought quite comfortable. I think we've got this steeliness about us now where you don't feel so nervous, and I don't, which is unheard of. But when we're passing the ball back and forth, and we've got that that quick break where Femi Aziz can get the ball, and obviously Negley as well, and Ballo. Ballow's a bit divided, I think, by the supporters, but what that guy does going forward as well as backwards is, it's brilliant. And that guy's come into the team, and to be honest, I don't think I'm not going to say what I want to say, but he's come in there and we look a lot stronger and we look a bit more, compact, shall we say. So I think, everyone done their jobs tonight. I thought Cooper was a little bit shaky, made a couple of mistakes, but he's our skipper and, he doesn't let his head drop, does he? He's still in there, and he had a tough game against McBurney, but I thought, him and Kramer handled him very well. Patterson, I can't really remember him making a save, to be honest. That shows how well he played. Obviously, Leonard was very, very good. And obviously, Sturge, I think what Sturge gives you is defensively unit to what, Doughty gives you. I think Sturge is more defensively better and more positionally better, but he hasn't had that quality. But he's only young, so we have to give him time. But I thought he was excellent tonight. I thought he was one of our better players. Midfield, you're looking at Negley, was good. I think, Casper didn't have his best game, if you're looking at it, but he's always wanting the ball. He never hires, does he, that fella? And, I thought Sacco, like I've already mentioned him, has that ability to go forward, but obviously sit back, and his engine for a young lad is brilliant. In his first season, what a player this fellow is. I remember him playing against Palace and thought, we've got a player on our hands, and obviously we hadn't seen him for a while, but he's come in and he's added the goals to his game, and he just looks good, doesn't he? He's got that mentality of knowing when to drop, knowing when to push on, which is brilliant. Femi Aziz, it's not going to be that game for him tonight, I felt. But, a little burst, and he had the shot with the keeper. It was a really good save because it come through a few bodies. Unfortunately, the second half, Kundal, if he could have got a nick on that ball after the shot from Femi, we might have, he might have tucked one away. But there you go. Coburn, that player is just, when he doesn't play, we don't click, do we? I think we look so much better with him in that team, and he just has that ability to hold that defender off and then push the ball wide of the defender, so the defender can only bring him down, or just has to hold back. It just has that ability to bring other players in, and we miss him when he doesn't play. And welcome back, Coburn, because we look a different team with him. Not slagging off BFS, but he's so different, and he was outstanding tonight. And obviously the subs that come on, Banner, we just looked more control when Banner come on as the game got a little bit stretched, and he just has that ability, little tight areas to get out and play the ball wide, and and then obviously Nigley had a shot, hit the post, and then we got the big talking point. Obviously no one wanted that referee tonight, and I'm not, if he made mistakes, he makes mistakes. Everyone makes mistakes, but I thought it was the worst referee I've ever seen at Millwall and Hull when I was there. But tonight, I didn't think he was too bad. I think he let the game flow. It was a very, very tight game. And then, I don't know, you either get that decision or you didn't. You don't. Both Crammer and the defender were grappling with each other, holding each other's shirt. And, he sees something there, and he gave, unfortunately, Leonard, what's Leonard doing in that position? Fantastic. And good finish with his left. But, I was jumping around the house going crazy and realised that it was given as a foul. So, but, you get them sometimes, you don't. But, I think spot on from Alex Neil and the staff tonight. I think they were very, very good with their tactics, when to go, when to sit back. And, that's what we expect from this manager now. We've got a top draw manager, and, we must be favourites because we had a lot of possession tonight. If we had that possession in the home game, then hopefully we make those count. But to go up there and get a 0-0 is not an easy place to go. And I was worried for the first 20 minutes, like we was when we played at Hull and we ended up winning the game 3-1. But I thought we were excellent. And I think we really need to bring that aggression. What's the word I'm looking for? Just make it a cauldron of hate, but not in a nice way, shall we say? But go to the ground on Monday and make it a horrible atmosphere for the away supporters to come, and the team, because we don't want to repeat of Birmingham. We know that, and we want to go there and win the game and get to Wembley, and then we play, hopefully Southampton or Middlesbrough. Obviously we've got to watch Southampton because they might have some spies, drones across the training ground. You never know, but we don't want any cheats in this game, do we? But we go there on Monday night. I can't wait to get there and get in our seat and support those boys, because what they're giving us this year is absolutely fantastic. Anyway, mate, I hope you found your parking space. I hope you get home safely, and just another massive, massive respect to those supporters who went out there tonight, because you could hear them all night long. And, I hope they get home safely and they get back for the game on Monday, because we're going to need them and we're going to need the other rest of us, supporters to get behind that team, because the season we've had, it ain't over now. And it's hopefully going to continue. Anyway, mate, up the Lions. We go again Monday. Everyone rest up. Supporters as well as the team. And we get down to Den on Monday night and we make it a cauldron. Take care, mate.
Job done, Nick. I thought we were the better side across the 90 minutes. And the two lads in midfield constantly won the second ball. And I thought we controlled the game and moved the ball better than our opponents, and especially towards the end of the game. A shame we couldn't nick a winner. Thank you very much, Mr. Darren Bastard Ward. Femi was a constant pest for Hull's defenders. Josh Coburn was immense, and you can see how we really miss him when he's unfit. Young Zach and Ballo are getting better every game, working together out there on the left. And it was another clean sheet, wasn't it? Another away game undefeated, and we've not lost away since that terrific performance up at Coventry back in January. Does Wembley count as an away game? But let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. We have a massive game coming up on Monday night, the biggest game in our 140-year history, which if we don't score early might be a bit edgy, a bit nervy, and end up with a squeaky-arse penalty shootout. But we need to get used to this, big games and big game atmospheres, because we are a club on the rise. Let's make some more history this season, or win a championship playoff semi-final tie for the first time at our 8th attempt. Let's break that playoff hoodoo. Let's get to that Wembley final for the first time ever. It's without doubt, in my opinion, the biggest single game in domestic football right now. It's bigger than the FA Cup final, in my opinion. If we do make it, one thing's for sure, and we end up playing Southampton, let's get those bushes trimmed round at Calmont Road. Come on, you Wall.
Achtung, Millwall.
Who do you want to watch?